So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the official podcast launch of my Facebook-only column that I started about a year and a half ago in tribute to the many members of my family that are into all type of comic books and pulp fiction. Now, Pulp Tales will be a semi-regular part of this podcast channel, and please give me some feedback and or requests for any comic book character, especially the 1960s, 70s, and 80s you want to talk about. But today I'm going to talk about a comic book character very close to my heart because I've met the character's main artist who drew it for years, the great Neal Adams. At different public events we've had great conversations about the character, Deadman. Now, Deadman, known as a Boston Brand, is a fictional superhero in the DC Comics universe, first appearing in Strange Adventures 205 in October 1967 edition, and it was created by Arnold Drake and Carmine Infantino. Now, Deadman's first appearance was written by Arnold Drake and drawn by Infantino, including the first known depiction of narcotics in the story approved by the Comics Code Authority. So it was very groundbreaking. Like I said, the series is most associated with the art and writing of Neal Adams and the writing of Jack Miller, who took over from Infantino and Drake after the first story. Now, Neal Adams was doing a lot of Batman, a lot of major characters for DC, and he told me it was very easy to come up with an artist's conception of it because it lent itself to the old Daredevil Marvel character with the colors on the front, but the dark red and the makeup that the unfortunate hero of the piece was using when he was murdered, but that's get later with the origin. Now, the first story and all the Adams stories were eventually reprinted in 1985 as a 7-issue series. It was basically that run that everybody kind of thinks about as the Deadman character. Now, although he appeared from time to time in the 70s and 80s as a supporting character in various comics, including team-ups with Batman and Superman and various stuff, including one of my favorite comic books, Jack Kirby's Forever People, Deadman did not get his own series until 1986, where it was a 4-issue limited series written by Andrew Helfer and drawn by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and picked up the story where Adams left off. He had a big storyline, Action Comics Weekly, and it is probably one of the most important series of the 1960s in relation to awards. Now, the character and self-titled series have won several awards, including the 1967 Alley Award for Best New Strip for Drake and Infantino, and the 1968 Alley Award Hall of Fame again for Neal Adams. Now, there's a hardcover edition of the original Deadman series in December 2001 that came out, and they redid the origin in Brightest Day 14 in 2010, written by Jeff Johns and Peter Tomasi, and there was also a big 3-part series later on. Now, this is how it all pans out for Deadman. Now, Deadman is a ghost. Now, he's formerly a circus trapeze artist who performed under the name Deadman, which was his stage persona, including, of course, the red costume I talked about and a white corpse makeup. When Brand is eventually murdered doing a trapeze performance by a mysterious assailant only known as the Hook, his spirit is given the power to possess any living being by a Hindu god called Ramakrishna in order to search for his murderer and obtain justice. Now, it was established in Green Arrow number 4 that Deadman believes Rama is the supreme being of the universe. So that drew a lot of controversy, and the controversy as well. Possession by a person who looks like a devil and trying to draw justice. I remember numerous occasions growing up where, I'll give an example. I told Neal Adams a story. My dad allegedly told me the story of a kid that brought a copy of Deadman to a church event in Lorne, and the priest took the comic book away from the individual and basically said it was satanic. And Dad later on talked to the priest, and he said, just a comic book. Well, he said it looks like Satan, and like Dad said, why would Satan be a trapeze artist? So now in the end of the Neal Adams storyline, which Neal Adams and I discussed, and he said, this is maybe why the run wasn't as longer than it was. Deadman seemed to discover the truth behind his murder and the ultimate fate of Hook. Now, who I guess killed Deadman as part of initiation in a society of contract killers, who then kill him to silence him. Now, we find out in fugitive-style twists, which a lot of people said, the comic book was kind of based on the fugitive, but that's neither here nor there. The real Hook is one among many one-headed men who work for an organization known as Scavengers. Now, their plan was to steal advanced technology for a profit, and fighting the Scavengers also led to Deadman gaining an artificial body for some time, but true to Forever People, but it never panned out. Now, there was various missions, various crossovers, but what was really, really important to know about the Deadman character, and this is probably the big problem why the character has never been attempted in live action form in any DC comic movie or TV show. It's very, very difficult to portray, a character that can pass through objects, that can invade a body. He can possess any living being by controlling their actions, and he can communicate with other people through another person's body. Because he's also a stuntman, he has Olympic level athlete training, aerobatics, sort of like a nice gymnast who can do the floor, the rings, and stuff like that. It's really, really interesting how they treated the Deadman character, and I think it's one of the best portrayals. They showed him as a fading dead character in the great Alex Ross series Kingdom Come. He provides counsel to the main character of that book, Norman McKay, who is the seer of the upcoming change in the DC universe. Now, in that series, he appears as a skeleton, where he wears the tattered remains of the Deadman uniform, and it's quite good. Now, the live action movie that you talked about, or show, they were looking at a Deadman television film for TNT in the early 2000s. The project was still in development, but it was later shelved. Now, the second time was when Supernatural creator Eric Kripke was supposed to helm the Deadman series for CW, because they were looking at another Superman series, but it was basically replaced by other shows, and Kripke has since moved on to the project. Now, if I had the money, which I don't, I would get maybe Josh Whedon or one of the young auteurs, even Jordan Peele, to look at the character, because there's many layers to here. Like, we never talked too much in the series about his romantic entanglements. We never talked about the fact that he's not what you call a person that's against society, because what was done to him. If anything, he's trying to protect society. He's a very, very cerebral character as well. Very easy for young children to understand. When I first read his comic book, I knew right away that he was basically there to protect society from its own evils, and kind of bizarre, wearing a Deadman suit. Now, the word Deadman for the character mean two things. He's dead, but he's trying to stop the people that want normal society dead. So it's got the double meaning. If you have a chance, try to get the old copies again, the Neal Adams run. It's a very, very, very important series in comic book history. I consider him a top 50 DC comic character of all time, and that's saying a lot of good stuff. But I want for my brother, who's in his 30s now, and his family, because I told them so much of the Deadman series when they were quite young, to have the new generation see the importance of Deadman to the whole science fiction comic book genre. It needs to be done. It needs a pilot, a TV series, a movie, because everybody needs a Deadman in their life, someone who's going to seek out evil and try to conquer it. And that's what the whole series is all about. Now, but I must warn a lot of people, if you're bothered by scary type of spooky drawings and stuff like that, some of the covers of the Deadman books are very, very over the top, almost like you have to take a hit of acid to really understand what Neal Adams was trying to say. And like I said, that run was some of the most interesting covers you'll ever see in a DC comic book. So on this great morning, we wish you, early spring, happy St. Patrick's Day to the Irish in my extended family and friends, and may the devil only find out you're in heaven a half an hour after you're dead. So take that with a piece of salt, and maybe get some Guinness and toast to the Deadman, because the Deadman has really, really made a lot of people smile over the years, because he's been a hero to a lot of people in my generation, I know. Okay. Have a good day. Happy St. Paddy's. Bye.